Welcome and or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell and today I'm going to be sharing with you some very specific winter book recommendations. I actually reached out to y'all on YouTube and on Instagram to find out what specific winter book recommendations y'all were looking for. Ask me anything, and I got a bunch of awesome requests for some winter recommendations, very specific to certain genres, subgenres, or tropes in certain winter books that people were looking for. So I have a bunch of great recommendations for you. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you do so. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads Instagram, my Etsy shop, and my Patreon. If my voice sounds gruff, that's because we are still getting over a cold here. It's the cold that will never end, apparently. But that's just what it is right now. My kids are here too, so if you hear them running around in the background, that's just life. Okay, so let's just get into these book recommendations. I'm going to pop them up here on the screen, the requests, and then I will show y'all some books that I think would be perfect for these requests. So first, I have a book where the main characters are snowed in, forced proximity at its finest, and I have the perfect recommendation for this one. This is actually called Snowed In with a Demon. It is by L.E. Eldridge, and this is a monster romance. It's really cute. It's about the manager of this inn, and the inn is supposed to be haunted, but she knows it not to be haunted. There is this like film crew that comes to do like their YouTube videos. They show haunted locations and whatnot, and they're apparently a bit of a pain in the butt for her. And also we have this demon that actually is tied to this property. So that's really where these hauntings are coming from. They're not actually haunting. This demon just feeds on fear, and he can make himself invisible. But he has a giant crush on our heroine, and one day they get snowed in. This is right before Christmas, and they're all stuck there, and the demon decides to show himself to her, and they have a love story. They're snowed in. It's really cute. She does a lot of fun crafts like crochet and stuff like that too, and that was like really fun to see. And it's a really cute little, I don't even think it's that long. Maybe it's like 200 pages or something like that. Yeah, it's a novella. It's actually not even 150 pages. So super sweet, super quick, a really fun snowed in romance for this time of year. Definitely recommend, check it out. It's not like the most amazingly written thing ever. There are some like flaws in the writing, just keep in mind. But I also just thought it was so fun, and I'm really excited to see what else this author comes out with, because I think this is one of her first published work. So I'm excited to watch her grow as an author. Okay, so the next request is something to read to give you drinking hot cocoa while driving around looking at holiday lights vibes. Okay, I totally get where you're coming from with this question, and I have the perfect book for this. This is actually a middle grade. I don't read a lot of middle grade, but Green Glass House by Kate Milford. The amount of hot cocoa in this is so good, and this is really cute. This is about our 12-year-old main character. His name is Milo. And his adoptive parents are raising him, running this inn for smugglers. And there is basically this big mystery, and all of a sudden, during the winter holidays, a bunch of people start showing up. And usually there is not a lot of visitors during this time of year. It's really hard to get up to the inn, and it's super snowy, and yeah, they don't usually have a lot of visitors. It's usually a really calm time for him to just hang out with his parents and have a good time. But this year is different, and people just start showing up, and there's this mystery that unfurls, and I loved this. It's so cozy. It's like cozy mystery meets like enchanted fantasy middle grade. I also loved the family and like the heartwarming vibes and the lessons that are learned. This is just such a wonderful read. If you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend. I actually listened to the audiobook with my husband during a drive a few years back, and we both adored it. Okay, I had to change my battery. Okay, so the next question here is a winter cold forest fantasy romance or a gothic romance. I actually want to merge these two together, and I want to recommend On the Night of the Seventh Moon by Victoria Holt. So this book is a historical gothic romantic suspense book, and it's set in Germany, and it is set, like, a lot of it surrounds this really, like, almost like magical Bavarian forest, the Black Forest, and there's definitely a lot of problematic elements with this story, so just know that going in. This is very problematic, but yeah, this is about this girl. She's at this, I don't know if it's like a finishing school, some kind of boarding school in Germany. She's English, but her parents, or one of her parents, is from Germany, and she gets lost in the woods one day, is found by this man and taken back to his hunting lodge.
I want another owl.
There's just the two. And she's taken back to his hunting lodge, and she spends the night there and then leaves, and she just can't stop thinking about him. She goes back to England. She still can't stop thinking about him. And the story progresses from there, okay? I don't want to say too much, but just know major trigger warnings for gaslighting in this, okay? But this has amazing gothic vibes. It is super gothic, and there is this forest, and yeah, I think this is a really good one to read this time of year. Definitely check it out if you haven't already, if you're okay with something that's going to be a little bit more problematic. Another fantasy magical forest fantasy romance that I want to mention that's perfect for winter is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, but there's also some other retellings in here as well, including the original Cinderella, I believe. And I really, really enjoyed this book. It is just all icy, magic, foresty, ice fae, and it's just really, really good. But this is about a few different women. I didn't realize that it was so multi-POV'd, because mainly it is about Miriam, and she decides to take over her father's money lending business. She gets this reputation for being able to turn nothing into gold, basically silver into gold. So that's where the whole Rumpelstiltskin retelling comes from. But she catches the attention of a fae king, and he sets up a little negotiation with her, and if she does these different tasks for him, he's going to marry her. Not that she wants to, but she also can't say no. And then we also are following some other storylines and some other female characters too. So this is just really, really good. If you want those fairy tale retelling vibes in the winter with those magical forest, fae, icy atmosphere, this is another really good pick. Next question is a book that features Hanukkah. This is really good, and I need to read more like this, but I don't have any recommendations for this one that I have read. But I did find one that's kind of like more in my wheelhouse, because the thing with this is that I don't read much contemporary at all. You guys know this. So, even a lot of like the holiday recommendations I have are more like Yule focused, unless they're like historical maybe. And I do have a couple of Christmas ones, but anyway, okay. So this one right here is Whisked Away by the Alien by Julie Cohen. This looks really cute. There is baking. It's an alien romance. And it looks really flipping cute, and it takes place around Hanukkah, and I just think that I need to read this year, because yeah, I don't have any Hanukkah recommendations, and I would like to have some, but I would recommend checking this one out because it's the one that I was like the most drawn to, because most of the Hanukkah books that I looked up were contemporary. So this one looked really good, and I love a good alien story, and I love baking, so I think the two are going to mesh together really well. Okay, so the next one I had was a winter romance that will make me laugh, like Dash and Lily. I don't know what Dash and Lily is, but a winter romance that will make you laugh. I have a good recommendation for you, and that is Mistletoe by Kimberly Lemming. This is the novella in her Meet and Mishaps series. This one takes place after the first book, so it's probably helpful to read the first book first, but that one's really funny too. Kimberly Lemming is so flipping funny. She has just a way of making me smile when I'm reading her books. Like, I always am laughing out loud, and this one is no different. It has a talking sword, so if you like talking swords, this might be a good one, and it's just really good. It's about our heroine whose family has been stuck by this curse, and she goes to try to get her family uncursed, basically. And in the process, she meets this fox demon of sorts, and the two fall in love. It's very, very cute and very, very funny. Kimberly Lemming she's freaking hilarious. Okay, so the next question or the next recommendation request is a book. Oopsies. A book that feels magical and has a snowy setting. I have a couple of recommendations for this. So the first is actually another middle grade. That's Frostheart by Jamie Littler. This is a really, really cute book. I highly recommend. I'm not the biggest middle grade person, but there is something about polar fantasy middle grade that I just adore. And this is about Ash, and Ash has these singing abilities, okay? And you're not really supposed to sing in this world. This is like an ice tundra, they live on an ice sea, and there's these like leviathans and stuff, and here like you're not really supposed to sing. I think it catches the attention of the leviathans, and it's very, very dangerous. Ash's parents are missing. He's being raised by different surrogate parents, but he just really wants to find them. He doesn't fit in, and one day he takes off with this crew of snow pirates and goes on an adventure. It is so good, so sweet, so cute. I really want to read the sequel. I don't know why I haven't yet. I really would like to. It's a trilogy, so yeah, this is the first book. It is so magical and snowy. Like, if you want a snowy magical book, this is just the first thing that comes to mind. If you are really, really not into middle grade, but you want something snowy and magical, another great recommendation I have is The Bear and the Nightingale. This is the Winter Night Trilogy by Catherine Arden. Bear and the Nightingale is the first book in the series, and it's one of my all-time favorite books ever. I freaking love it. This is so atmospheric, very slow paced, but very magical in like a more like historical magical way. The magic is more about the lore and the creatures that Vasya, our main character, can see. This book has a lot of commentary on religion and politics. This is set in medieval Russia, and yeah, Vasilisa, her mother passes away. She's a wild child, and her new stepmother is not a fan of hers. They're very different. And her new stepmother is also very, very religious, while Vasilisa can see the old gods and the creatures like the Domovoy and the Rusalki, and she just feels very attached to the forest. In this series, there's also a romance that blooms. It's just so good. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Winter magic at its finest. The next one was actually a recommendation for the Winter Night Trilogy, which obviously I totally recommend. And then I have a fantasy or romance with ice castles or ice powers, etc. So I have a few recommendations for this. One is a repeat recommendation for Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. Definitely ice castles and ice powers in this one. My kids are going off in the background. I'm sorry. But the next one I have is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. There is an ice castle and ice magic in this one as well. Not the whole book, but you'll get there. And this one definitely has a lot of fae magic in it too. And it takes place in late fall as well, in a very cold climate. So you definitely have a lot of snow in this. Ice, and there's ice magic, and also I'm reading the second book in the series and loving it too. I love the series. Another really cool icy magical book is The Sword of Kaigen by Emma Wong. In here they have water powers, and some of them even have the ability to make ice swords. This is an epic political fantasy that also is about females and society and women kind of like having to soften certain sides of themselves for motherhood, and it's just so good. I can't say enough good things about this. So this follows a mother and son. The mother used to be this powerful warrior, but she has settled down and she's raising her family, and the son wants to be a powerful ice sword wielder like his father, and they live on the Sword of Kaigen. And the Sword of Kaigen is this peninsula of Kaigen, this country, where they are all basically warriors that are meant to protect the country. And there is this threat from overseas. And then you see a lot about basically how the people here aren't for sure being told the right things. Are they receiving a lot of propaganda? Do they have the right information about these people across the sea? And then there is this battle that comes to them. There's just so much involved in this. It is a standalone, which is really cool. Though there is some follow-up books, but they're not like in the series, if that makes sense. They're just in the same world. And yeah, this is just so good. So good. Lots of really cool ice magic too. The next request for a winter recommendation is a cozy mystery set in winter. So I don't read a lot of cozy mysteries, but I have a few cozy mysteries on my TBR that are set in winter. The first one is Martha Grimes' The Man with a Load of Mischief. This is the first Richard Jury novel. My mom and my sister are both obsessed with the series, and they both really love this series. This came out a long time ago, actually, but yeah, I've got a few books in the series now on my TBR here physically, and I'm excited to get to them. These books are set in England, and I think each book is surrounding, like, the name of each book is based on the pub where this book takes place, I guess. So yeah, this takes place in the winter, as you can see on the cover. And I don't know much about it other than it's a series that I really want to get into. Another one that's been on my TBR for a little bit here is Apple Cider Slaying by Julie Ann Lindsay. And this is a Cider Shop Mysteries. This is the first book in the Cider Shop Mystery series. I think there's 3 books in the series, but I think this looks really cute. I don't read a lot of contemporary. Usually, even if I read cozies, they are magical at the same time, but this one does really look cute. It takes place at a cider shop, and this cover is flipping adorable, but I don't know really anything about this book other than it's been on my TBR for a while. I keep on seeing different people read it and saying that they're really liking it. It's gotten a lot of really good reviews from a lot of booktubers that I watch, so that's definitely kept it on my TBR. Maybe one day I'll get to it. Okay guys, I wanted to include some more recommendations for you, but I am quickly feeling my voice go again. So filming has been super hard for me recently because of this cold and the cough. And if I talk too much, I lose my voice. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. I hope I gave you some good recommendations. If you have more winter recommendations, please leave them down below in the comments. I also have a winter romance, like a spicy winter romance recommendation video coming out too that I'd like to film. So keep an eye out for that one. Make sure that you're subscribed if you haven't already. Click the like button and comment down below, like I said, with your recommendations. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
Felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away.